context of accepting energy. So here, I'm not going to, so here I'm going to bring her in here a little bit too. So here, keep the leash shorter, I'm going to keep the leash here near me, because what happens with the dogs is they try to get, she wants to get away from this.
Might be loose enough she slips out too.
Well, that's okay. At least we're in a fenced yard here. So here, part of the technique is even if the collar is a little loose, just keep it angled a little bit so that they can't slip out. So most of the energy is coming around the back of her neck. It's not coming to the front part, the choker here. Okay. So all I'm doing here, just try to look at me as being the pillar. You know, I want to establish pack leadership. So the context of what is going on here is right now, this is almost like a challenge. You know, she's challenging losing this position that she's had. So here, I'm not trying to take it in one day. All I'm trying to do is slowly put enough method, and here I'm just ignoring the other dog, okay? So here, is this Julie?
That's Julie.
So Julie, so here, bring Julie in a little bit. So just a little bit. So here, what I'm doing here too is I want to keep her in a zone here. I want to keep her, that's why dogs jump above. I want to keep her close, getting used to being in the context of pack leader, as close to me. Dogs, you'll see them when I'm doing method, is they try to stay away from this area here. You know, they'll try to escape and get away from it. So here, this part of the reason, Sue, this will go even faster is if I don't feel bad at all. If I don't say what's wrong or oh no or what, any of those thoughts. I'm just, because I'm not doing any, none of these methods are aggressive. So here, the moments I'm talking about is, so beyond just getting her used to being here in this context of my energy changing into calm, just calm, assertive, psychological energy, is I want to start to put method on, create these moments. So what I want you to look for here in a second is when I push, when I create the sit position, when I'm pushing, there's going to be a moment of calm. It's going to be for a second. You're going to see it. So it usually happens when I begin to push on her back. So here, sit. So here, same thing. This is good. You see this. So here, same thing is, I'll talk about that. So as soon as I start to push, what happened? She just released this dominant energy, right? She's saying, I've never had this happen to me, anyone assert themselves this way. I'm going, she didn't try to bite me, but she's very unstable, so she's close to that. So here, I'm going to walk her forward here. If she starts to resist too much, so I'm just going to stop. So I'm not going to try to drag her along here, but what we need to start to get her used to, hey, Billy, got it. No, that's fine. Good girl. So here, that's good. That's progress. She's now allowed me to push on her back a little bit. Dominant dogs don't like to be flanked. That energy coming up behind. They become very unstable. So here, I'm not, girl. Good girl. So what I'm doing there, you can see her just start to calm out a little. She's starting to calm out just a little bit here. She's looking up at me now. You know, so what it is, this type of energy draws her up like a magnet. I call this the paradox effect. Dogs, once they're in the dominant role, don't want to give it up. They're going to there's going to be some resistance, but it's in the taking of the role that matters. And what makes my method a little different here is that I'm not using aggressive methods and choke chains and such to take it. I'm using mostly this and just being calm and assertive. Heel. So here, instead of trying to go forward, and just like I said, she's trying to see her pause here. She's trying to elevate up. She's trying to take a higher position. So here, Sue, I'm not pulling up unduly. But what I want to do is this leash technique is very important here. Take this. Good girl. See, good girl. Now push first. Yeah, push first. I'm pushing on her back here a little bit, and then the petting happens. Okay, push. So this is energy. So when I'm pushing Sue, tips of my fingers, not aggressive. See, I'm pushing here, Greg, but just a little. See this? Good girl. Good girl. Trust me, there's a transition here. When I start doing this, she starts to feel that right away. Feel. But she won't do it on her own. This is normal. So just a couple feet, Sue. We're going to do this in a few minutes, by the way. Just watch me. So just, in order to get this going along a little easier, I'm ignoring the other dog. I'm not trying to, that's fine. It's just a couple baby steps forward, push. Heel. So,
Julie, Billy.
So here, Sue. Good girl. Push on the back. So the pushing is energy. That creates that moment of calm. It's not going to be really obvious here. It's also the looking up part. But there's a moment that happens that I want to say, good girl. So, hey. Good girl. Few feet forward. Hey. Hey. So here, Sue, it's just going to be a few feet forward, and in the other dog, same thing. Just ignore, Hey. Forward. So it's a few feet forward, Sue, and then a moment. A few feet, like here you can see her, she's pulling back, but trust me, she's still going to start to come out of this. Just a little bit at a time. So the whole thing here, part of the method is you have to say, and like you said, there's resistance during the walk, right? Dogs will do two things, dominant dogs. They either try to get ahead of the walk, if you've seen people walking their dogs out front, or they're going to try, if that side doesn't work, there's a method I use for that. If a dog tries to, not in this case, but if a dog tries to take the lead role, go in front of me, I'm going to lock them off. It's very important we keep them here right beside you so that they get used to this, even in this, when we're creating role change over time. If they try to stop the walk, like in this case, Julie's trying to say, and the biting, so right here, it's almost like she's slowly giving up. So because they're so dominant, we have to look at it and say, this is normal behavior. So instead of trying to walk and drag and choke her, which I don't want to do, no one wants to do that, right? You're just gonna come forward because she's elevating a high dominant state. Okay, so not trying to bite me. The other dog likely will just spin like crazy because she's the dominant one of the pack. That's why she's even coming over and grabbing a hold and all that, right? Because she's used to being the number one. She's number one. She's number two. Better dog to start working on. But so when you see the method applied to what's the other dog? Billy's likely going to really spin and really try to bite at me and everything. But it's always about, when I do this method, Sue, is though it's not happening. Just stay calm. Like here, part of this too, Sue, is when I tell people leash control. If I have the dog out here on the leash like this, just shorter. See how I have it wrapped up my hand here? Just keep the leash really short. We need it short. We don't want them to be able to get away from me all the time.
It allows too much freedom.
It allows too much because then they're in front or they're stopping. So, heel. Good girl. She's starting to come. Sit. Thanks. Billy. It's okay. It's okay.